You ready?
Yeah,
I'll hit the intro music and you'll hear that, and then we'll be good to go.
sounds good, man.
All right, let's do it.
Hello, handsome. Care for a rub down?
And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Something special is about to happen.
Are you waiting to receive my limp penis?
Very aroused.
Better than later.
Let's do this.
That is incredible! That is unbelievable! That is brilliant!
Yeah, g'day rubbers. Welcome back to the weekly rub down. You know what we do? We're rubbing down NRL Supercoach, baby. You're listening to Just the Tip Part 2. I'm your host, Natty, and with me as always is King of Calculations, Sultan of the Spreadsheet,
King of calculation.
Wooker, the Stats Wizard. What's going on, my bro?
Oh, not much, mate. It's an early preseason for us, but damned if I'm not liking it.
I
Making
feel
me
like
think
I'm
about
humming
things.
early. Peaking, maybe
Yeah,
peaking a little
yeah.
too early. I'm not sure, but I'm feeling good about it. I feel like we're starting to sort of get around it real early, which is good.
Yeah, using two hands. It's we're killing it at the moment. So we've been ripping through the team summaries, so going through, getting a bit of an understanding of what the final teams will start to look like. So we've got predicted teams going, and yeah, just thinking about the players that we want to target, because there's obviously been a fair bit of play movement out in the off season.
It's very tasty. It's very tasty. Just like this beer I'm about to crack.
Oh,
Oh, I tell you what,
Ooh,
I am
nice.
thirsty. Cheers, brother. I am thirsty.
nice bit of single fin.
It is hot up here on the Gold Coast. I
Ooh.
mean,
Oh, yeah.
hotter than a Zach Lomax flick ball to try assist. It is hotter than Kalen Ponga goose step. Should I say hotter than a Blake Laurie first half try underneath the
Ooh.
posts? Maybe not that hot, but fuck, she's hot at the moment. And I've been pumping the tinnies. Been out in the yard trying to fix my yard, fix my neighbour's yard with this pool business that's going on.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you
And
busted
I'm
up your
just-
neighbour's yard.
I crack a beer and I just look at it and it's gone. And I can't even remember taking a sip. The cunt's just gone.
It's what a time to be alive though.
Yeah,
Christmas
silly
time,
season.
everyone's winding down, and well, hopefully everyone's winding down for their Chrissy break, and mate, it's been a long.
Well, it's getting to that point of the year where days don't matter. Could be Monday, could be Tuesday, doesn't matter. 11 a.m., 10 a.m., 8 a.m., doesn't matter. Tins are getting cracked, eating a lot, drinking a lot, being very merry. So hopefully everyone out there is feeling the same, cracking off work a little bit early and getting amongst it. Christmas parties to just be going out of their fucking minds at the moment. I love this
like
time
a
of year.
frog in a sock.
Mm.
It's look, the response to a lot of questions at the moment is sounds like tomorrow's next year's problem.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's right, because most of the challenges that we're having at the moment, yeah, fuck it.
Yep.
Deal with that next year.
100%. Right. So just the tip part one, we covered 8 teams. We covered the predicted lineups. We covered the ins, the outs, player movements. We talked about a couple of guys, 2-3 guys out of each team that we're interested in. Talked about the narrative behind that. Some big talking points around Reece Walsh, Kalen Ponga, Dylan Brown. Any other guys that we really got hard over?
I mean, yeah, Walsh was a big one for us. The interesting thing though was just that buy.
Yeah.
Don't really know how much of an impact that's going to have. And look, you need your top line players.
Yep. And that's the interesting chats in January when we're really dialing into these guns, these first 2 round guys, top 20 guys, is buys. When are they having them? Is it going to affect your finals? Because you really want these fucking big dick alphas there in your SuperCoach finals. As simple as that. But anyway, plenty of time to talk about that gear. Yeah.
Only just released the our initial top 30. You know, the one that we pulled together. So
yes,
that's out on Patreon at the moment. Just a bit of a flavor saver for you. Not really much substance to it just yet, because we're just formulating opinions on certain players. There's a lot of stuff to come out. Like we've based the top 30 on Zach Lomax getting the fullback spot. don't know if that's going to be the case, whether they're going to give Sloan a go at the backup initially. If that's the case, Lomax slides down a little bit. But yeah, I think there's a lot of value to be had, I think, in this season.
100%. Well, that reminds me, this Rubdown is brought to you by the Weekly Rubdown Patreon, aka the Stats Lab, aka the Rub Club. Like you just mentioned there, mate, we have got plenty of gear on there right now. You don't have to wait until January when we start really ripping into the preseason. You can jump on there now. There's 2 tiers, $5, $8. Obviously, the $8 stuff is going to get you your happy ending, and it's going to give you all the preseason content that we pump out. Plenty of just Christmas lighthearted reading, by the pool or whatever. When the kids are just out there playing, just pull it up, start studying. It's never too fucking early, people. That's why we put it out there December 1, because you know what? There is a bit of a craving for SuperCoach content this
it's
early.
A vacuum at the moment.
Let's go.
There's nothing really out there because there's nothing to talk about.
Let's go. Let's fucking get into it. Let's get into it. And like you mentioned with that top 30, just a blanket top 30. And it's more for us when we do our season opener. So the first podcast of the year in 2024, we'll do a season opener and we'll cover the top 30. But it's a nice little tease, just the tip there, because we do have a top 30 for each of the main finals systems. So 22 to 25, 23 to 26, 24 to 27. Because the top 30 does change for each final system, because obviously you rank players lower if they have a bye in your final system. So, I mean, you're welcome. Fuck. Not just one top 30. We've got four top 30s. You're welcome on the Patreon.
By popular demand.
Please.
It was requested because everyone's got different.
We do too much.
Different final scenarios.
We do too much, bro. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
We give out too much. We got to fucking woo up here. Crazy. The content we're pumping at the moment. All right. That's enough dribble. Let's get into it. We've got plenty to talk about. We've got 9 teams. We've also got some questions that we'll go through at the end of the podcast. But yeah, let's do it, baby.
Just a tip. Just for a second. Just to see how it feels.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. We'll kick it off with you, bro. You've got the Raiders. Talk to me, son.
All right. So the Raiders have had a little bit of player movement at the start of the season. Obviously, the big one, Jackie Boy, shifting across to the Bunnies. Possibly going to have the most impact of close to any team. Like a lot of their attackers obviously funneled down that left side through Whiten, usually through Whiten specifically. Look, I don't like. We don't necessarily know who's coming in to replace him. That's the biggest downer that I've got for the Raiders. There's some chatter that Ethan Strange might do it. There's another bit of chatter that who else was the other guy that they were talking about pulling in there?
Got
Because
no
I haven't
idea.
done much. Because Kyo Weeks could play in the halves.
I think Kyle Weeks will come in to this team.
Yeah.
I mean, let's go through the predicted team list, bro, and we'll sort of cover it as we go through them.
So the fullback spot is one of the more difficult ones to pick. And look, Xavier Savage, he was kind of the man left out last season, especially after his injury. So
don't remind me, I was big on him. Big on him.
You were huge on it. So he is one guy that, he fell out of favour with Sticky when he got his facial injury. Didn't really crack back in the side at all, and was playing on the wing even in Resi. So just under Chevy Stewart, one of the best names in rugby league.
It's very good.
So he'll be duking it out with both him and Kyo Weeks to keep that spot. The wings on the Stings, we've got Jordan Rapana and Albert Hopewadi. We've got Seb Chris and Timoko in the centre spots. Obviously, with Croker doing into retirement, we've got Chris coming back into the centres after filling in, I thought, quite well eventually in the fullback spot. So then in the halves, we've got Kyo Weeks and Fogarty. So Fogarty's going to be a very centre pin of this attack. So definitely looking at him to improve on his 52 average from last season. He's definitely one guy that, look, if you're going to have a stab at any of these guys in the back line, he's one of the top tier fellas. Bookends, we've got Josh Papali. and Joey Tapine. Obviously, Josh probably is coming towards the back end of it, like middle to back end of his career.
Yep.
We've seen that Sticky likes to protect him a little bit minutes wise. He's not really that much of an option, not a top tier option in Supercoach anymore. So just keep that in mind. We've got him pegged as a bit of an avoid. So yeah, just keep that in mind when you're looking at him. On the edges, we've got Hudson Young and Elliot Whitehead, and we've got Big Horsburgh.
Big Red.
So Big Red, yep. I think Elliot Whitehead, his days are numbered. I think this is his last season. So they're making moves now to possibly bring Zach Hosking across. Don't know whether that's going to be preseason or in the off-season next year, but he would be a very, very good replacement. Right edge back rower for right edge back rower. It's a match made in heaven.
Yeah, I do like that.
I
Also
reckon
running off.
Sticky will get that done.
Or running off Fogarty as well. That's a nice little touch.
Fogarty
there.
loves to use his edge back rower.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the man in question here, Fogarty. I wouldn't be surprised if he has a nice little uptick in his scores here. I think he might play both sides of the ruck, be more involved in the attack on the left as well as the right, which it can only be good for his Supercoach score. So, and we talked about him in the preseason for 2023, talking about that. He had like a 62 average or something like that, and he didn't have to do much to get it. Like, it was quite surprising to us that he had an average that high, and we're like, fuck, he really doesn't have to do a lot to all of a sudden hit around that 65, 66, 67 average. Now, I don't know if he'll hit those heights, but he does have a really sexy game for Supercoach when he wants to. The only thing that worries me is that this Raiders team is very vanilla when it comes to scoring Supercoach points.
Yeah, big time. I think they really need a bit of injection at the back. And look, Kyle Weeks looks good in spurts, but he never looks Supercoach relevant.
Young too, bro. Young.
It's going to take him about 2 to 3 years to become like one of the top players. So look, I think they will cycle through a few different incarnations of this back line. So yeah, it's I don't think any that's written in stone. Maybe Matty Timico, he had an awesome season last year, so he's probably the only one that, him and Fogarty are the only two that I'm pretty certain they'll stay there all season.
You would think Matty Timoko would build on last season. I mean, you had him in your team for the Loveless League, so you could probably talk on him more than I can, but he was starting to really trouble defenders with his tackle breaking ability.
He was turning into a genuine strike center, and look, he had his defensive frailties at times, but yeah, he shored those up towards the back end of the season. And look, he's one of the guys that I'll be looking at. Want to get some value, but we are predicting a bit of an uplift in his average from last season. He got a 57. Started the season a bit slower, but really grew into it, and he was scoring a try every other game and looking real good.
It's a real big watch list for this Hosking move, isn't it? Because if he comes over, obviously it's going to be a right dominant attack. So Fogarty gets an uplift. You would think Timoko gets an uplift. There's just a lot of attacking prowess on that right edge, and that at any given moment, someone's going to benefit there, Supercoach wise, and that's really sexy. And you've got our man Jordan Rapiner out there as well. So that fucking right edge with Hosking coming in could be very, very sexy.
Yeah, I mean, Rapiner's average is inflated fucking pretty heavily by that 160 game versus the Doggies. So I'd take that with a bit of grain of salt. And he's also coming towards the back end of his NRL Raiders career. So look, I don't know how many more seasons he's got left in those legs. He looked fucking amazing at times last season. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I think with a few of the younger players like Chevy Stewart and co coming through, it's going to be really tough for him to keep his spot.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's talk about some of the forwards here for the Raiders. Joey Tapine, I think there's not much more that we need to say about Joey. He's going to keep on keeping on. I don't see much of a decrease or an increase in his output. I think he continues to do what he has been doing for the last couple of years. He's a premium option at the front row forward position. Simple as that. Hard because none of us want to pick front row forwards where this guy belongs. Same as Tino. Where you're going to have to get him is, I'm not even that front row forwards aren't even a fucking twinkle in my eye when you have to take Joey Tapine. So it's that sort of conversation. It's a hard one.
And Joey's a bit more of a base beast forward as well. And look, in the same vein, you look at a guy like Big Tino, high ceiling, fucking good base. Whereas, Joey's just got that really high base, good output, but doesn't have the ceiling. Not scoring tries. He's not in position to really score that many tries. So, I don't know whether he's going to retain the 2RF either.
Yeah,
So
that's tough. I mean, it
he's one
doesn't
that I
really
think
matter
will
because you
lose
never
it.
play him in your 2RF anyway. Like you would always
No.
play him in your front row forward spot. So it's not a
Yeah,
real
but
big kick.
You got that sort of flexibility. If you've got an injury, you can kind of cycle through.
Yep.
That side of it.
It's always a bonus for sure.
Yeah.
Huddy Young worries me, bro. Huddy Young. Now, left edge back rower. If KO Weeks does come in and play that left half at 5'8" role, can he use Huddy? Is he going to be involved? Is there going to be teething issues? I'm worried because he had a down year anyway in 2023. I mean, what did he have? Like a 57 average
57 average.
After that huge year in 2022 where everyone was sucking his dick, dropped down a little bit, which was, I mean, we kind of predicted it because he just scored so many tries in 2022. But
it's unsustainable.
No, exactly.
Usually,
but now I'm worried about it because there's just not going to be that sort of solid half there with him. Not saying that Jack Whiten was good for him because Jack Whiten doesn't pass the ball, but defenders do like to rush up on Jackie, which will give a Hudson some room. Do you know what I mean? I don't think that's going to be there for Huddy. So I'm worried about him.
Hudson had to do a lot of the work himself as well to put himself in the try scoring positions. So he'd be getting a lot of tackle breaks, line breaks, and all that sort of stuff to get his attacking scores and his tries. So that's where he was really inflated the year before. And last year, he got found out with the blunted attack is probably the best way to put it that we saw from him last season. Look, I think there's going to be a lot of work in the preseason for the Raiders attack. And it was one of the key issues that they had last season. And that's why they couldn't run away with games. And I mean, it was the Raiders 1-12 was the running joke from last season. And
it
all has to do with their attack not lining up.
And I said at the start there, vanilla. It's simple as that. And we've talked a lot about the Raiders. Just like when we talk about matchups every week and we get to a Raiders game, we're like, there's not fucking a lot to talk about here. It's really hard to predict who's going to go well. It's really hard. Yeah. Even on the defensive side of the ball, it's like, are they going to leak a lot of tries or you just don't know what Raiders team is going to turn up. They don't have an identity.
Defensively, they're not that bad. And that's the difficulty about playing against them is like if you've got a player playing against them, it's not an easy game. And like that, but they're not scoring either. So it's a hard one for us to pick out. But look, one of the easy ones to say stay away is Zach Wolford / Tom Starling.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's just that Sticky has absolutely killed the hooker spot there.
Yep.
Like, without a doubt.
Yep, that's definitely a no-go. What about Big Red here? He had a fantastic year in 2023. Obviously started the year coming off the bench, then really warmed into that lock spot around that round 6, round 7. Was pumping out really solid minutes. He was getting like 60 minutes on average. That sort of translated into a PPM of 1. So ended up with a 62 average as well. Can he sustain that? I don't think he can do any better than that. Can he sustain it? That's the question.
I think that's the tippity top of what they're expecting.
For sure. Can he replicate it?
We've got him at 63 average from a 62 last season, and look, without getting a few tries like he did last season, I don't know how he even gets there. But it was breaking into the Maroon side, he'll get so much confidence from that. So I think he's going to be a consistent performer. But again, it's front row forward. He's playing like that third middle forward as well. So he's not that link man. He's not getting the potential line break assist or anything like that. So yeah, for me, I wouldn't be breaking the bank to get him in.
He's that prime candidate of someone that's going to get overdrafted. One, everyone loves him, big red.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of panache about him. He's on the tip of everyone's tongue. Do you know what I mean? Like, so he'll get overdrafted just because of the name.
He's the Blake Laurie.
Yeah.
Overdrafted.
I'll take Blake Laurie before Corey Horsburgh. I'll give you the hot tip.
One of the good things about the Raiders is their buys are done and dusted by round 19.
Yeah, okay.
So they're free and easy through the finals series. And look, they're also good for a quick start. So they don't have the first buy until round 10. So they're guys that you could invest in early, ship them off, and then for a bit of a pay packet.
Yeah, okay. Anyone else here in the Raiders you want to talk about before we move on, mate?
Not really. No, there's look. I think the real interesting point is how that back line's going to line up, and also how they're going to perform. So, I got an asterisk next to Fogarty. I think he's definitely one that look, if you can get him for some value at that 52 average, he's one that I'm looking at real hard because they do have a bit of a soft draw.
Yeah, I do like that. I really do think he will play a bigger part in this Raiders attack, which I think get him pushing that 60 average.
If their attack gets uplifted, goal kicking, so
exactly.
It's a double win,
100%. And for someone that you can probably get, picks 60-ish.
Yeah, I was thinking around 7,
and probably get high 50s, maybe a 60 average. Yum.
For a position lacking in depth.
Sign me up, baby. I do love that. All right, let's get into my beloved Manly Sea Eagles. Ugh, God. Oh, sorry. Just vomited in my mouth a second there. All right, so some big games for Manly, actually. Luke Brooks coming in. We'll talk a lot about him, I think, in this segment because he's very interesting. And then a gaggle of blokes here. Jake Arthurs comes in, Jackson Paulo, Tommy Talau. So a lot of depth in the back line, which is very interesting. That's probably about it.
Yeah.
Not
they lost the Fainu brothers.
Yeah, Sean Kepi. So look,
Sean Kepi's another
I
one.
think they've won the ins and outs here. The gains that they've made definitely outweigh their losses, which is great for Manly. The predicted lineup is as follows. Oh God, look at that new logo. That's disgusting. Like I didn't think I could hate.
Isn't it?
I didn't think I could hate Manly any more than I already do. But yep, they've done it for me. Fuck, that's disgusting. All right, at 1. Tommy Turbo, and you got Ruben Garrick on the left wing. You got Brad Parker, Canicola in the centers, Jason Saab on the right wing, Luke Brooks and Daly Cherry Evans in the halves. Bookends, you got Jake Travojevic and Tanila Paseka, Lachlan Croker at 9, Joshi Schuster on the left edge, Hamoli Alakawatu on the right edge in the back row, and Josh Aloy A at lock. Now, on paper, very sexy team, Wook. Very, very sexy. Let's get it out of the way. Let's talk about Tommy Turbo. Now, where we've got him pegged in the top 30 is we're liking him at the back end of the top 10. So if you're the turn pick, you got 10 and 11 in a 10-man league. You can pick him up and partner him up with someone else. I was thinking about this earlier today about, what I'm going to talk about here with Tommy Turbo because I'm still on the fence whether, I'd take him there or not. And I was thinking hard about it and I was like, what are you talking about, Natty? Of course you're going to take him.
I was taking a slash this morning and I was
of course
thinking the exact same thing. I was like, look, I had him last season. He got a season-ending injury, but I'm ready to be hurt again.
You have to,
and that's what it comes down
if
to.
You're captain,
are you willing to take if you're willing to take the risk and thinking about the risk? Okay, if it was a re-injury to a leg injury, I'm nowhere near him.
Yeah,
but this is a pec injury that was or pec or bicep. I think it was a pec.
Yep,
that was done like in State of Origin and had nothing to do with the previous issues that he's had with his hemis, knees or whatever. So look, I'm all about it. I'm looking at taking the risk if I can get value. So, and when I say value, I mean around pick 9 if I'm that late in the draft or even on the turn, because I've heard people saying I wouldn't even risk him in the second round.
You're
And-
mental, fucking mental. If he's picking,
But-
if
but
he's there in
in
round,
fairness,
if I'm
how
pick
many go-
9, and he's there in 9, see ya. Turbo's in.
When was the last time he played over 15 rounds?
For sure. For sure. I mean,
season?
you could say the same thing about Latrell, and he'll go pick 7. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
that's true.
you've still got to have that gamble because, and
Hmm.
the thing is, like, he ended up with an 82 average anyway. Like, he was fucking
Yeah.
humming. He was killing it.
Oh mate, I was getting ready to get the engraver ready. I was going to purchase an
Fuck.
engraver to write on the trophy.
Bro,
I
he was
loving it.
he was in 3rd gear. He was
Yeah.
in 3rd
But he could
gear.
he couldn't even get to full stride.
Nah, that's what I'm talking about.
And and it's like he's an unbelievable player.
I just think, and we always say this, when we're talking about gambles for SuperCoach Draft and you play in a captain's league and you're talking about a guy that has a ceiling that is like Turbo's, I'm always going to take that gamble. I'm always going to take that gamble because
But
I think the
hedge,
pain.
hedge your bets. Hedge your bets.
Well, the pain is worse if you don't take him and pick 10 takes him, right? And he lasts the whole season and you don't win the comp and he wins the comp because Turbo just fucking obliterates everyone. Then if you pick him up and he gets injured in round 13, you're just like, look, I had to go. The pain is worse if someone else has him and he kills it. But like you said, you have to if you pick Turbo, you have to get your priorities start to change. You need to get another fullback, preferably a fullback duel.
Would you go back to back in
Manu?
maybe not in
Yes.
the 10-man league, but no, not Manu. You won't get him. Oh, actually,
Yeah, you
might
would.
in return. Yeah,
Mate,
maybe,
I might have thought about this today. I had a really deep fucking think about it.
But
Turbo
I was thinking
into Manu, play Manu at your 5'8" spot, Turbo at your fullback. You've got cover there. Jeez, that's starting to get movement downstairs, baby.
What about doubling down and going Turbo into Garrick?
Yeah, that's
Because then you've got the guy who replaces Turbo at the back. He uplifts, he scores.
That's filthy, Wook. I love it. That is tasty. The boys are thirsty.
Yeah, it's a hot one.
Fuck, Turbo into Garrick. Now we're talking because
Yeah.
Garrick is turbo proof. He's the only player in that team that is because Turbo's not there. He plays fullback. He gets a nice little uplift. Turbo plays. He's on the wing. He's scoring tries.
Actually, DCE is like reverse turbo proof. Like his scores will dip when
he was last year. I did do a stat dive a couple of years ago, and he was more. He did benefit more from Turbo being in the side than not. But last year, for some reason, he was just a fucking beast. But yeah, no, that's interesting. And where we've got Turbo landing, sort of the back end of the top 10 there, it does open up a lot of opportunities. And I think that needs to be the first point of preference is to get a fullback backup and try and have that fullback be a duel. So if Turbo does last the season, you're not wasting a pick.
Yeah. Now, looking at the back rows, there's one guy that wasn't really mentioned, and I think it was because he was a late inclusion to the Manly side. Corey Waddell. Do you think he ousts Josh Aloiai? I don't think he does initially, but I think they'll definitely use him on the bench, and I think it's going to eat into Aloiai's minutes for sure.
For sure, I don't think Josh Aloiai is SuperCoach. He's not anyway.
He's not relevant, but Waddell is.
I also think Josh Schuster doesn't play 80 minutes, so I wouldn't be surprised if Corey Waddell comes on and spells Josh Schuster at points in the game. He is a handy.
He needs a bit of. Josh Schuster needs a bit of a Val Tavare makeover.
He does. But Corey Waddell, he's a Mr. Fix-It in the back row and lock spots. He can play either. We saw it at the Dogs, coming and playing edge back row, also playing lock. So I do think he will spell trouble for Schuster and Aloiai. Schuster's the big one because he's going to be the guy that people are going to be talking about come draft day.
For sure.
I do like him in the back row.
We've all fallen for it once or twice.
Tell me about it, bro. Tell me about it. I'm still waiting for him to come back. But he did play when he played back row. He did average 60 plus. He was handy.
Yeah.
It's a big risk. I think you take him at that sort of 55 average value. He's at the back end. He's a guy that like come sort of round 10. If he's sitting there, you go, you know what? I'll take a fucking go at him. But he's a guy I'm definitely not reaching for or getting excited about at all.
No, he's one that if he's sitting around there, look, it's the 5'8" Tour F duel that like last season it really tickles my fancy. But I just can't see a world where he gets it right in his head. Like he's got all the talent in the world. But he's got a lot more competition than he did last season. So and he doesn't have the fallback of not only really having Cooper Johns, he's got a whole raft of back rowers there to really come in and put pressure on him.
Yeah, yuck. Not for me. Last guy I want to talk about here at Manly is Luke Brooks, their main acquisition for the 2024 season. Really like it. I really like it for Manly. I really like it for Brooks. I really like it for SuperCoach. Now, Luke Brooks has had the inept ability to somehow average above 50 for the last 3 years playing for the Tigers at halfback. So that in itself is impressive, right? Because that team has been a shit show. His halves partner has been a million different players. The back line has been chopped and changed that so many times. The hooker is in, out. Tigers have just, we've just seen the whole board get fucking punted. That's enough. That's all you have to say about the Tigers at the moment, right? For him to go 54, 52, and then 55 last season, why can't he turn that into a 60 playing next to Daly Cherry Evans with weapons like Kohler, Turbo, Garrick, with a forward pack that can get a bit of on the front foot, can win the middle, can gain momentum, can give space for the backs. I mean, I'm really excited about Luke Brooks. Stop me if I'm overstepping the mark here, but I'm starting to feel Luke Brooks here. Is it finally time to target Brooks in your drafts?
He's been shoehorned into the halfback spot, and he's not that type of player. He plays so well off the cuff. He chimes in well when he needs to, when he's got a real dominant halfback next to him. Look, the signs were looking good when him and Hastings were playing together, and I thought that was the dumbest move in the world for them to get rid of Hastings to bring in Clemmer. But yeah, look.
What's happened here? Walker's gone soft on me. He's gone limp.
Johns and Schuster last season. I think that's a bare minimum of what Brooks can offer, and I think he's an ex-Dally M halfback of the year. Like he can play, and it's just about making sure that they've got a good forward pack, getting a good roll on, and really good options. Like going out the back to Tommy Turbo. Come on, tell me that's not going to work.
Sexy. He's also going to be dual halfback 5'8". Not sure where that'll probably happen in the first dual change. Or they might give him the dual straight up, knowing that he's going to play 5'8" for Manly.
Very interested to see those changes.
I just don't see a downside here. I just don't see him at the bare minimum not replicating that 55. Like he will do that in his fucking sleep. I think he can be someone that can go 60, 65. I think he's someone that you can probably get picks 50 plus, around the 50-ish, 50, 60, something like that.
Like he's going to go in the 60s, 70s or something like that. For sure.
I would pick him. And the thing is,
same sort of vein as Fogarty.
Yeah. Interesting, man. He's a guy that I'll probably reach for in 2024 because I've just got a good feeling about him in my loins. A little bit wet about Luke Brooks, to be honest. Yeah. Dangerous because could fucking blow up my face. But I just think.
But you look at the attack on the left side that he's got to work with. Like Turbo loves a play down the left. got out to Garrick, like oh,
Uh,
and potentially Josh Schuster if he's on his game, he's an awesome line runner.
And
So he's,
a defense is looking at Luke Brooks when they've got Turbo, Garrick, DCE, fucking Kohler, Hamali Elakawado. Are they worried about Luke Brooks? No, they're fucking worried about all these other cunts. And Luke Brooks is just going to have so much. The dummy go step for him in 2024 is going to be on. His running game is going to be very sexy. So I do like it, bro.
Yeah. No, I'm all about it. He's a great pick. Other one that I'll just slide in just sneakily is Hamole Olukwatu.
Oh yeah, more of the same.
Just more of the same from him. And look, he was absolute fucking chef's kiss last season. So a bit more of that. Thank you.
Yep. And that sort of ties in nicely to DCE having another really tasty season. The stack between those two, we've talked about DC and how much he loves his edge back rowers. The stack of those two is very, very, very sexy, very arousing.
Oh yeah, big time.
All right, bro, let's move on. You got the Storm. Talk to me, son.
Yeah, all right. There hasn't been too much player movement in this tide. It's really one that look, I'm a little bit concerned from their side. Because they do need a bit of injection just to keep up with the mainstays of the top four. But look, they've had Tarek Sims and Tom Eisenhuth leave the building along with Jake Nicarima. But look, they struggled at times through the season, but they did storm home, excuse the pun, to secure the third spot. And look, they got bundled out. Let's be honest, they got bundled out of the finals, back-to-back losses. And look, I see a bit more of the same, in all honesty. Look, they've had. Look, let's run through the team and then I'll give a bit of a spell. But
hit me.
Puppy at the back, Coates and Warbrick on the edges, on the wings. I've got Nick Meaney and Ramus Smith as your centre pairing. A lot of mail about Olam and Olam leaving the building, but Seve played really well at times, so it's going to be a bit of a stoush to see what happens and whether they keep Meaney on the bench as a utility, which we know he can play a number of positions. So got Cam Munster and Hughes, obviously the mainstays in the halves. They're going to be absolutely electric through the season once again. Got Nelson Asafa Solomona and Christian Welch as the bookends. Harry Grant, obviously the mercurial hooker himself. Trent Leoro and Eli Katoa as the edgeback rowers, and Josh King as the lock. So, look, it's a decent side on paper. I just think that they're lacking a little bit in steel off the bench, and I don't think Leoro offers enough on the edge for them as well in attack. Like we saw how devastating Eli Katoa was at times, and they really missed him through the middle part of the season, and when he came back, they just went up a gear. So I think that's definitely an area where I'm looking to invest is Eli Katoa. He's definitely one that I've got my eye on.
Let's do it, bro. Let's talk about him. Brian Pappenhausen has to be done.
Say, the next one is
what are we gonna do here, bro? What are we gonna do?
Look, back-to-back injuries. Look, both leg injuries. I mean, after coming back from such a traumatic injury and then getting another fucking traumatic injury,
it's mental for me.
It's more of a mental issue than physical because he's.
The injury itself is okay.
Turnaround.
The injury itself is fine. It's obviously
he looked so dejected at the time.
Syndesmosis in with a break. The break was honestly like the best part of that injury because that's an easy fix. That's a nice little rehab process there. The injury itself isn't really the issue. He's already up running, training. He's sweet. It'd be the mental side of things. Like you said, looked dejected. But again, same thing as when we're talking about Turbo. This motherfucker can break games, can win seasons. That's how good he is. Absolutely. I mean, he probably. I mean, shit. Where do we put him? Honestly, where do we put him?
I think you've got to put him in the top 3 picks. When I say top 3 picks, I mean top 3 rounds.
Yeah, top 30.
Top 30.
I think so.
Where he sits in that, I would say I'd be looking at him in the same vein as Turbo. I mean, not Turbo, Teddy. So start to middle of round 3.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of risk associated with it. We don't know when and how he's going to return. So and it's not just his return to performance. So it could be the case that we could be waiting like a few months till he hits top gear. And it might be the case that he doesn't hit top gear as well. And look, it might take him a couple of seasons to get that confidence back in the ankle. So those mad footwork steps that he does might not have those. He might not have the mental confidence in his ankle to do it.
Put it this way.
He did come back from that knee injury, and he looked quite good. He looked quite sharp. But you could see
if he's there early round 3, gone.
If he's there late round 2, I'm thinking about it.
You're thinking very hard about it. He's there early round 3. He's definitely gone for me. Interesting. Yeah. Another one of those ones where it's just like, just could be a stroke of genius if it works out for you. Or if it doesn't, everyone's like, why'd you pick Ryan Pappenhausen? Dude's injured. Like, why'd you do that? You idiot. So, but like I said earlier, I'm always going to take the gamble. So I will take a gamble on Ryan Pappenhausen. Cam Munster, bro. We have loved the Mad Dog for years now. He's one of our boys. The thing is, like, he just doesn't have that ceiling anymore that we want from him. Pretty consistent.
He also hates turning up against shit teams.
Yeah,
he'll put in like a 90 or 100 against like fucking Panthers, and then he'll turn around a fucking 40 or something against the Titans.
The only guy that you need to reverse the strength of schedule statistics for, because he will play out of his skin against really tough oppositions, go missing against the Tigers and Dogs of the world. So, I mean, he still probably belongs. I don't have him in the top 10. I think he's probably mid round 2 for me. The only thing that pushes him up is that he plays 5'8", and that he belongs in one of the positions with the worst scarcity in the game. 5'8" is just fucking scary as all get out at the moment. So that's the only thing that sort of pushes him up a little bit. But I'm not as excited about Mad Dog as I have been in previous seasons.
No, definitely not. And look, I think we got found out. Well, personally, I got found out a little bit with him at times last season. I had him in one of my leagues, and mate, it was a good thing it wasn't a captain's league, because I would have got absolutely pantsed on a few of them, dropping a few 40s here and there. But look, he's an amazing player, but he turns it on when he needs to and when he wants to. It's he's not consistent enough for my liking. I won't be reaching for him for sure. But if he's there like mid round 2, I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. Yeah, he's tough. And this may change. We've got a lot to talk about throughout the preseason, but at the moment, I'm just like, he's not doing it for me. I'm more excited about Jerome Hughes. I've still got the Jerome Hughes hype that I had in 2023. I don't think he let us down in that department. We were all over his dick, and I thought he played really well. The one thing about Jerome Hughes that I really loved is when Eli Katoa started playing some consistent footy. The fucking combination that those two had. That is DCE Olakawatu vibes. Maybe even better. That's how fucking well they were working together.
Well, potentially better, because I think, if anything, Eli Katoa's a better finisher.
Can score tries, bro. Can score tries. And Jerome Hughes just loves making space for him.
Yeah, for sure.
So I do love Jerome Hughes. Harry Grant, I was sort of thinking,
I think
I'm done with it.
I think he's going to be overdrafted. I think he's going to be higher than he should be. I think he's going to go in most leagues around pick 8. He just doesn't have the ceiling for me.
Sneak peek into the strength of schedule, because I was doing a little bit of study the other day. He has the So Storm have a fantastic strength of schedule in all final systems. Harry Grant is the only player in our top 30 that is, well, it goes without saying, but he has the best strength of schedule for his position in all three final systems. Number one. So here I am thinking I'm done with Harry Grant because he sort of fucked me in some games last year. Now I continue. I was going one first, and now I'm thinking, well, Harry, maybe I'm not done with you because that makes a big difference, man, and that especially for Harry Grant because he plays the best when Storm are crushing teams. When Storm are fucking putting the foot on the throat of the opposition, that's when you get those 140 scores. That's when you get those 120 scores. That's when you see him putting over Big Nelson, scooting from dummy half, making breaks in the middle of the field. So for someone that I was just like, look, he like you, he just doesn't have the ceiling, and for a captain's league, and I'm gonna have to waste a top pick on him, a first round pick on him, and I was like, nah, fuck that, I'll never do that again. Then I went through the strength of schedule. Now I'm very fucking confused because if I am pick 8 again and he's there, it's going to be a very difficult decision.
Yeah, look, I don't doubt that he's going to be unreal, but in a non-captain's league, yeah, I 100% agree with you. But in a captain's league, you really want your first pick to be someone who you can captain to win your game.
Yeah,
I don't think he wins you a game as captain.
No,
alone.
And
he wins you a minor premiership. I don't think he's got what it takes to win you a premiership.
I said this. I'm changing tactics, and I'm going to stick with it. I'm going all out ceiling. So I'm taking Turbo before I take Grant for sure, 100%. It's a gamble, but it's ceiling for me, and that's how I'm going to approach my first two. Probably my first 3 picks is just ceiling. I'm just pumping out ceiling in my first 3 picks.
I like it.
Different story if you are a non-captain's league. Obviously, you want a more well-rounded side. You know, that's when you Cam Munsters, your Payne Haas's, those sort of picks, Tino Fasua-Malaawi, those sort of picks come into play a lot more. But if you're playing a captain's league, you just want the alpha dogs, the big ceilings, the big
swinging dicks.
The big swinging dicks, bro. Yeah. Anything else to talk about here with Storm, or should we move on?
Yeah, Nick Meaney's a tough one to see how much he regresses from that 68 average. I think he is definitely one who's going to go way early, but is he going to be an absolute stay away? Oh, I just don't know. I think with there being so much uncertainty with how he's going to be used, I think you got to stay away, don't
you? Yeah. I mean, people will be chasing scores from his fullback days, and he's just not going to have that. I mean, he'll be great. He just won't replicate that, and it all ties into how well you think the Storm are going to go. Like from what you're saying, Walker, you think there'll be more of the same. They probably won't make it to the big dance. A little bit clunky in attack, and in all honesty, like the wingers haven't been performing for Storm for a while now. The guys inside them have been scoring all the points, so.
Coates has been like for how much potential he's got and how much skill he's got for how he can finish. Fuck, he hasn't put it on the park since his Broncos days. He's got in the maroon jersey, he looks fucking amazing, but yeah, in the Storm jersey, he hasn't quite. Such a good player though. Welsh is a stay away as well.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see a little bit more of Kamikamica this season.
Yeah, it's all that whole forward pack pretty much is, apart from Harry Grant, is sort of sliding to the back end of the draft.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the unstoppable force that is the Penrith Panthers. So, a couple of big losses here. They obviously lose Critter and Spencer Leno. I think they're massive losses, but also Cogger, Jenkins, and the weak-go dog himself. But they gained Dane Laurie I love that pickup. I think that gives him
Yeah.
depth in certain positions. Well, a lot of positions. Dane Laurie is pretty versatile. Brad Schneider as well. I don't mind that. Paul Alamotti, the big hulking center from the Dogs, still hasn't hit his potential yet. And I mean, if he can't hit his potential at the Panthers, he can't hit it anywhere. Simple as that. So just some more pieces there for depth for the Panthers because their team's fucking pretty much unbeatable. Let's go through it now. Dylan Edwards at the back, Taruva and Brian To'o on the wings. We've got Taylor May. He'll be playing left center. Isaac Tago on the right center. Jerome Luai, the new Tiger. He'll be playing 5'8". Nathan Cleary, the god at halfback. James Fisher-Harris and Moses Leota at the bookends there. Mitch Kenny at 9. Scott Sorensen on left and Liam Martin on the right in the edgeback rows. And then Isaiah Yeo at lock. So the big shift here is in the centers. So how I see it going here, could be wrong. Things could change. But I've heard whispers that they are training Taylor May in the centers. He's bulked up. He's put some kgs on, put a bit of muscle on so he can play center. Taruva will stay at left wing. Taylor May will be on that left center. And Isaac Tago will go to the right center like we saw him do at the back end of last season. Now, let's just talk about this team and the output Supercoach-wise as if this is the case. Isaac Tago moving over to the right, playing outside Nathan Cleary, just bars me up to no end. Like, Isaac Tago's so fucking good. We saw him.
He was impossible to handle.
Jesus.
To handle at times last week.
Jesus. Like, stop the man. He was unbelievable.
He had
but
like
also
11 tackle breaks in one run.
Yeah, we're thinking about the same try that he scored. I think the ball boy ran on and he fucking utzed him as well. Just utzed everyone in the fucking park. Anyone that was near him, he just fucking buried them. So, yeah, I'm big on Isaac Tago. But also, I'm loving him moving to the right for Brian To'o. We know that Critter is a ball hog and he loves the right foot step, loves to take it himself. And To'o seems to score phenomenally, even though that's the case when Critter is inside him. Now, take your mind back to when Taylor May came on scene playing left wing and Isaac Tago was playing left center. The combination that those two had, the amount of try assists that Isaac Tago had, the amount of tries that Taylor May had. Now, just try and switch that to the right with Brian To'o scoring all the fucking tries. Honestly, Brian To'o could average
of Cleary
90 in 2024. I'm so up for this right edge of the Panthers with this move. Like, if this is how they line up, just punching through denim.
You need to have some investment in that right side. Be it Tungo, be it To'o, or be it Cleary.
I want one of them.
Have one of them.
One of them, yep. And I'll be
or even two of them.
reaching hard for him. I think To'o on the turn in a 10-man league, go it. And you know what?
How far would you let Tungo slide?
Oh God, honestly, I could reach for him in the second round. That's how big I am on him.
Yeah, like I'm thinking he might gravitate towards maybe third or fourth round.
Put it this way: if you're pick one and you get Nathan Cleary and you can fucking partner him with Isaac Tago with your second pick. Hello. That's nice. That's nice, baby. That's real nice. So, yeah, I'm just all about this right edge. All about it. Brian To'o with a 71 average from last year with a bloke inside him that doesn't pass the ball is crazy. I mean, we've got him for a 73 average in 2024. I honestly don't see why he can't put 7 more on top of that and be an 80 average if this Panthers team is humming and that right edge looks like how I've got it written down. Very excited about it, bro. Very, very excited about it. Also, it's that man crush. It's that chub rub. I love watching Tago, To'o, Cleary. I love watching them. If they're in my side, I'm pumped up. I'm excited. I never miss their game. Do you know what I mean? Like, so that
Biz has also got the floor. He's got the floor. He's got the ceiling. He's got a bit of everything. let's talk edgeback rowers.
Mm-hmm.
Scotty Sorensen had one of the absolute
All time.
crackerjack seasons of all
time.
And then Liam Martin played majority of the game, a majority of the season at the start, sharing time with Zach Hosky. Then they started to gravitate towards Martin starting, not getting spelled, and he started to put on some decent scores. So, look, he's got an average of 68 in 60-plus minute games. I think Martin is a bit of a sleeper for sure.
Yeah, you were big on him last year, which worked out nicely. It's almost like they have a. It's almost like they have a plan for him. Like they do manage his minutes throughout the year. They know that he's got a big rep schedule coming up with the Blues. You know, they're just going to have him come off the bench, or they're going to limit his minutes throughout the year. When the finals start getting closer, that's when he starts playing more minutes. That's when he starts really hitting his straps. Now, that's great for Panthers. Not so great for fantasy, but yeah.
I think there's so many points to be had on that right edge.
I know. Seriously.
Surely, like they double mark out on the edge, leaves a bit of gap in the middle. You know, Cleary's got a great short ball on him.
Especially if Hoskin goes to the Raiders as well.
Yeah.
You know,
if that happens, I'm reaching a little bit for Martin, for sure.
And then do you see Sorensen continuing to get 80 minutes in the left end?
Has to regress,
right?
I think so. He's been unbelievable, and I think the Tigers exit might be in the back of Luai's mind through the season. So maybe he's got one foot out the door part of the way through. So look, I think Scotty Sorensen might be a bit of a victim of a change in attack from going to the left to going more so to the right, because all of their weapons are going to be, all their key weapons are going to be on the right.
Yeah, look, again, we'll get overdrafted. People will be right up about Scotty Sorensen, especially blokes that have picked him up free agents. And then
for sure.
Yeah,
it's all the recency bias from people having him last season.
It's going to be a love affair.
He was a journeyman.
Yep.
And
Isaiah Yeo is going to be more of Isaiah Yeo. 2023 Isaiah Yeo is going to be 2024 Isaiah Yeo. He's going to float around that high 60s, maybe a 70 average. Probably belongs in that. He could just sneak into the top 30, but I see more between.
Rob Sullivan puts the CTW on him as dual.
Oh God, that'd be tasty. But around those picks 30 to 40 probably belongs, because if you've spent your first two picks on high ceiling guys, it would be lovely to partner up your high ceiling guys with an absolute stalwart of just
a
solid
base beast weapon.
Yep. Just gets 65 to 70 points every fucking game. One of the guys that you forget that you have in your side, because you never have to worry about him. You're never going to captain him. You're probably never going to vice captain him, but he's in your side. He's doing his job every single week. You don't have to worry about it. Nice little yin and yang there if you've gone heavy on your ceiling players early on.
Yeah, I think outside of those three, the forwards are not really much chop from a Supercoach perspective. JFH, not really. Mitch Kenny, definitely not. And Moses Leota. Like, I think there might be a little bit of an uptick for JFH and Leota with Spenny Lenny going. But look, it's going to be really tough to say if there's that much of a benefit. We've got him pegged at like a bump of about 2 to 5 points average.
Yep.
But I think a lot of that's going to get eaten up in guys like Liam Henry and Matt Eisenhuth and those type of players. They might even look to get a bit more minutes from their bench utility options, which is either going to be your Dane Laurie or what's his name? Peachy, Tyrone Peachy. So, look, I do think that, anyone looking at the Spencer Lenu trade out, it's not going to be as much of an uplift as you're probably thinking for JFH and Leota.
No. They're really not Supercoach relevant anymore, to be honest. Like, both of those guys are bench
They're both
spots.
straightforwards, both straight
Your
FRFs.
your
So,
14th, 15th pick, JFH is definitely not the guy that he used to be.
yeah.
All right, bro. Let's get
All
the next
right.
team.
So
Tigers.
from one powerhouse to another.
Yeah,
So
let's go.
yeah, look, it's one of the easier teams to, well, from looking at the buy schedule, it's a team that I'm putting a line through from the outset, especially for the high end picks. So you guys that you're going to be spending any of your top 4 to 5 picks on, I'm not really looking at, because they've got a buy in round 26. They've also got a buy in the first round, which makes it really tough for planning your season. So look, I'll run through the squad, and then we can talk a bit of turkey after that. So Drew Buller, fullback, Junior Tupou, and possibly Dave Nofaluma, possibly on the wings. Charlie Staines and Stafford Teller at the centre three quarters. Toa played amazing at times last season, so I'm really interested to see if he can back it up. At the moment, I've got Jaden Sullivan and Aiden Caesar as the halves pairings, mainly because Adam Dewey will still be recovering from his ACL, and if he is back, there's talk that he might go into the centres. Also, he might be eased back into the team, so we'll see what happens there. The bookends got Dave Clemmer and Alex Twell. Could also be Stefano Urukamano. Appy Coruscant, obviously hooker, got a fantastic season, strength of schedule. The Tigers in general, but also Appy, number 1. Bateman and Isaiah Papali'i are your edge-back rowers, and Fanua Pole. But for a young fella, he's played extraordinarily well at lock in a pretty dogshit Tigers side at times. So yeah, there's not a lot to get excited about.
No, look, I'll be honest, straight up off the bat. If I don't have a player in my side with a little tiger next to his name, I'm happy.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
pretty happy.
That round 26 buy obviously means a lot for us. But yeah, if you're around 25 grand final, maybe this piques your interest a little bit. But yeah, it's not really a team that I'm looking closely at. Well, mainly because they've lost a lot of games, but they've lost a bit of experience in Brooksy. They've replaced it with Aiden Caesar, but I mean
But also,
it's not a great lineup.
When you're talking about picking players with a bye in your final system. So obviously for the guys that are playing in the round 26 grand final, this is your direct grand final. For the guys that are playing the round 27, this is going to be a major semi to get into the grand final. This team doesn't have the caliber of players that merits the risk. Because, last year we were talking about Latrell Mitchell, picking him and just going, look, I've got to make the grand final anyway. He may help me get there because he's so good. Tigers don't have anyone of that caliber. So they're literally no, thank you. None of them. Like, fuck all of them.
Their best averaging player last season was Johnny Bateman with a 61.
No one merits the fucking risk, honestly. Yeah. So, unless your grand finals round 25, like you said at the start, big red Sharpie through the fucking lot of the cunts. Yeah. See ya. They just don't merit the pick.
There's a couple of players that you might want to keep an eye on. Guys like Buller in his second season, can he back it up? Aiden Caesar, when he returns to the NRL, how is he going to go? Obviously played a lot in the Raiders and Titans. So look, we know he's a goal kicker, so chances are he'll be kicking goals. But it's playing for the Tigers. How many goals is he going to kick? It's a tough one. And look, Appy was up and down last season. We did predict a bit of a drop in his average. That came to be. I think there's going to be a bit of an uptick in his average this season. But yeah, there's no one in the team that I'm overly excited about.
No. And honestly, if you're ready, we can just move on because
let's go.
I'm not really into it. Even if you're
someone had to do the Tigers. So,
even if your grand finals round 25, you want these players to slip pretty far before you start putting your hand up.
Yeah, definitely.
Righto, my beloved Roosters. Interesting team because they went so terribly last year, there could be some value to be had.
Yeah.
Because these big guns for the Roosters aren't so fresh in people's minds. The recency bias isn't there because they really didn't perform last year. So there could be some value to be had here. They can't go as bad as they did last year. Honestly, that was fucked.
I'm pretty sure Dragons and Tigers fans would disagree with that. It can always go worse.
Great heat, like a gaggle of blokes that they've lost. In my
Yes.
opinion,
Yeah.
not really all that
They're all
interested.
They're all like squad players. Than
depth
top
players
tier.
that came in, so not really. It's not going to affect their Supercoach output as a whole, but some really good gains like Dominic Young on that right wing. Yum, love that. Spencer Lino coming in off the bench. We know the impact that he has. We saw it with the Panthers. He's going to be fantastic. Love those two fucking pickups. That's fantastic for the Roosters. I'll just hit up the predicted lineup here. We've got Teddy at the back, Dom Young right wing, which puts Joey Suoli'i on the left center, Joey Manu obviously the right center, Daniel Tupu left wing, Luke Keary, Sam Walker in the halves. You've got Lindsay Collins and Big J as the bookends. Brendan Smith, the cheese at 9. Sia Wong on one edge back row, Nat Butcher the other edge back row, and Victor Radley at 13. So yeah, look, let's hone in on this right edge for the Roosters, which will be the dominant side. It was the dominant side even with Sam Walker not in the side last year, so you can bet your dick that it's going to be the dominant side with him in the side. Sam Walker, him being healthy, him being in this side is going to have a huge domino effect on some of the big players on this right edge, specifically Joey Manu and Dom Young. That right edge can really get, and that Butcher as well. That, like, on paper, that right edge is very, very sexy, very arousing Supercoach wise. And if they're clicking on all cylinders, I mean, there could be a lot of Supercoach points to be had there. I love Sam Walker. Even when he came back from injury, he looked very slick, very good. Straight off the bat, was getting 70s. Looked very, very good. And he does demand a lot of ball, even overcalls Luke Keary at times. So coming off the 60 average, I think he can push that 65, maybe high 60s. And I think that's going to be good for Manu, just because Manu doesn't have to play 11 positions throughout the year.
Yeah.
If he can play center and fucking focus in on that, I think that'll be great for him.
And it's not like it used to be with Manu, where he would average like 40, 45 at center, and he would absolutely go ballistic in 5'8" and fullback. He's averaging pretty much that score, like 65-ish at center.
Yes.
Like he's going unbelievable, and he's playing a bit both sides, and he's following the ball a bit more, so he's getting involved more, which is getting his scores ticking over.
Yep.
So definitely one that I'm looking at. You love him a bit more than I do, but that center 5'8" it's almost too tasty to pass up.
Crazy, man. Flexibility in those positions lacking in depth, like 5'8" halfback. You really can't talk highly enough about that, because it really does. And I saw it firsthand last year. I had Manu on my side, and being able to rotate him from CTW into my 5'8" position, I did it a lot, and it was fucking really helpful. I'll be big on him. I think he needs to go early round 2. Not only do I think he can beat that 64 average, but I just think, like we said, that duel is just so fucking sexy. Sam Walker, he's interesting. I think he just sneaks into the top 30. Like, if you can get him at the back end of the 3rd round, I do like that.
Well, again, the sky's the limit, and it's a position lacking in depth. And I think he's going to be better for the additional preseason this year. Get his head right, get the confidence back of Robbo, and I do think that, look, they've shown a bit more confidence in him. Obviously, they've let Hutcho go. He's still got Sandon Smith that will put pressure on him because Sennan played quite well when he did come in. But yeah, I think you just saw the class and the attacking weapons that he's got, like these big Harbour Bridge passes.
He's a gun.
His quick footwork.
He's an absolute
he's
gun.
too good. He's too good to be playing in the bottom tier.
Yep. Just hope, and he'll be an interesting one to talk to Brian about with that injury, with that ACL. It wasn't a full rupture; it was a sprain.
Yeah.
That's got, what sort of rehab he would have done to it over the preseason. How he's going to come into the season.
Is he at increased risk of injury?
Exactly, and that could change my perception of Sam Walker drastically if Brian goes.
Based on my luck with ACLs, I'm not touching with your pick.
Don't even talk about him. I don't want you fucking putting your bad juju on my boy Sam Walker.
Actually, I'm getting all about it.
Dom Young, I think trading one good right edge for another, he'll be great as well. Might be a little bit of a adjustment period there coming into the Roosters, but a guy that I want to talk about is Teddy. He's slipping, bro. He's slipping. His averages have slipped for the last
like
4 years straight.
Regression.
Yep. So where do you take him? Where would you pick him?
I'm going to be honest. It's looking more and more like either end of round 3 or into round 4, and that just sounds like ridiculous talk. But looking at the names that I'm putting ahead of him, it's hard to say that he deserves to be up any higher.
It's fucking ridiculous. I think. Look, I'd start really thinking. We talked about him being pretty closely linked to where we think Ryan Papenhuyzen will go, or where we like it. So, do you know what I mean? You're starting to really think about Teddy back end of round 2. Round 3 is probably where like you get a pick in round 3 and you don't have a fullback. You're like, fuck James Tedesco in round 3. Come on down. But he probably won't make it there. It's simple as that. Like that's where we're sort of looking at him, but he won't make it there.
He's going to go in round 2. He's going to go in round 2 in every league.
Yep. So it might be just a guy that you just like, you know what? It could be someone else's problem. It's hard because the narrative could be like, it could be a big comeback year for him. He could be like, look, I want to silence all the haters. He might not even get picked for Origin, which means he's going to be available more over that period as well. So it could turn out to be a really, really good pick, but he's aging. No one beats Father Time. Stats don't lie. So yeah, he's not someone that I'm keen on. He's one of those guys where it's like, if the value is screaming at me, it's like, dude, fucking take Teddy. He's there. It's pick fucking 20 something. Like, go for it. But it's not a guy that I'm like, he's going to be on the top of my fucking pre-draft list or anything like that. Like, I'm not excited about him at all.
No, it's like he's one. It's almost playing chicken as to who's going to take him off the board. How long are you going to wait? Because it's not about who's going to jump on him first. It's about who's going to wait the longest.
Yep.
So I don't like. One thing I wouldn't hate is if you pick up Turbo and then maybe in round 4, if Teddy's still on the board, I mean, there's worse ideas.
Oh, you would, but he just won't be there. He just won't.
I know, but he won't, yeah. But I mean, I'd be thinking about it.
I'll tell you a couple of guys that just won't be anywhere near the top of my pre-draft list. I might even just write them off altogether. And that is Joseph Suaalii and Daniel Tupu, because
I reckon Suaalii is the biggest regressor, one of the bigger regressors this season.
Yep, and he just kills Tupes too. While he's at it, he'll drag Tupes down.
Yeah.
And that'll be the end of those two. So I wouldn't even look at those at all, unless it's crazy value, like really late in your draft. I think
the predicted average you got for Dom Young is way unders.
Yeah,
I reckon we bump that up.
It's interesting with Dom Young because it's like it just depends on how that right edge.
But I suppose how many more tries will he get?
That's what I'm saying.
You got 25 tries with the Knights, so
you're not going to get any more than that. So
and when you got a team that can attack both sides of the right, I don't know.
And you've got just weapons on the inside. Do you know what I mean? Like, Yeah, no, he'll be great.
No,
but
there's a method to your madness.
yeah, I
All right.
did think about it. I just didn't pick fucking
almost like
numbers
a
out of
fullback.
my ass.
Yeah.
Two championships to my name. I know what I'm doing. What about Cyril Wong? Interesting. If he gets
Yeah.
80 minutes, I'm all about it. But does he?
Look, I think he's definitely going to be in for an uplift, mad uplift to his average. And look, anyone who can keep both Satili Tupanoa and Angus Crichton out of the team is doing pretty fucking good. Yeah, so look, I think Siwa is going to have a fucking crack of a season. I do think that they're going to use Crichton and Satili off the bench again. So
that's the issue. There's
think-
so many edgeback rowers, and it seems like Nat Butcher is the one that's getting 80. So everyone else is going to see a bit of a regression there in minutes.
But I mean, Siwa Wong has that real SuperCoach friendly game.
He does,
So,
100%. But I only like him if he's
love
playing
it.
80.
Correct. Yeah.
So he's one to watch.
Whack him in your watch list for sure. But I think he's going to go. If he's there in your picks, say 13 onwards, just grab him.
Yeah, 100%.
Just grab him.
Yeah, that's
because he's coming off an average. He's coming off an average of 45, and I think if all things go to plan, you can put 15 points on that. 15 points on that average.
Easy. Yeah, he is, like you said, very Supercoach friendly game. All right, bro, let's get on the next team. You've got the Gold Coast Titans. Talk to me, son.
Oh wow, I've gone from the Tigers to the Titans. Well, at least I'm going upwards. All right, so the big off-season signing for the Titans, and it was done part of the way through the season, was Desi Hasler. So I think he's going to be the real big change in like the Titans, and I don't even think it has as much of an impact on their attack as their defense. So I think this is more of a shot across the bow to teams that you've got that are coming up against Titans in the finals. It's probably not going to be as sweet of a run as you're expecting, because Desi's teams typically have pretty staunch defense, especially with Supercoach points. So yeah, one thing to keep.
We'll
keep
see.
Warned.
We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, Titans are still Titans.
Yeah.
Yeah. But one good thing is, like, you look through the bye schedule, they've done and dusted with their buys in round 17. So even the big buy in round 19, they're free and clear from that. So definitely a team that I'm looking at. The player movements, Sexy Sexton went out towards the back end of last season, and then you've got Keenan Palacia coming from the Bronx. I do like that. They've got a fair bit of cattle in the front row. So I do think that Palacia coming in possibly may shift Tino back into the lock spot. So keep your eye on that. But yeah, I'll run through the 1 to 13 and we'll have a bit more of a chat. So at the back, we've got AJ Brimson. He's obviously going to be sharing a little bit of time with Jaden Campbell. Fiona Camperera, AKP. And
nice, bro.
Philip Sammy.
Be practicing that one. It's good.
on the wings. Brian Kelly, one of my man crushes, and Jojo Fafita on the 7th quarter. Kieran Foran and Tanner Boyd is the halves pairing, and then Mo Fodawaker and Ken Palacia are your props. Chris Randall and Verrills will be the hooker pairing. I think they'll be sharing time pretty evenly, so I think that ruins both of those as options moving forward for hooker spot. It becomes a bit interesting in the edge back rows because obviously Dave Fafita is on one edge. We don't know which one. Bo Firma on his return. So it's coming back from an ACL. So I've already got a line through him based on my previous experience. But look, he was unstoppable in 2022.
Yep.
And he was looking to replicate that in 2023, injured at trials. And yeah, it's like because of him getting injured, Fafita shifted to the left edge and ruined all of our preseason chatter about Tanner Boyd and the Tanner Boyd and Fafita combination. So is that going to cause a shift of Fafita going back to the right, start to build a combination with Tanner Boyd, or is it just going to be firmer shifting edges? Remains to be seen. And this is why we say you got to really set your draft time to after the trials, just so you can get a sider for these sort of decisions, because it's going to be pretty big. Because look, if Tanner Boyd ends up getting Fafita on his edge, I'm actually looking at him a bit more. So he's probably going to lose the hooker duel, Tanner Boyd, and he only averaged 49 last season, but he's got the tools and he'll be goal kicking. So he's definitely one that, look, for the right price as your bench option, could be one to throw at the stumps for sure.
It's one of the biggest question marks for the Titans for mine. And there's so many variables with how the edge back rowers line up here. Obviously, David Fafita on the left was unbelievable. And him being partnered up next to Kieran Foran was the best thing for David Fafita, both in real life and SuperCoach. I think he benefited supremely from Kieran Foran's game, and the impact that he had on him was immense. Now, does his move, if it happens, to the right edge playing next to Tanner Boyd, is that better than him playing next to Foran? I'm not sure that it is. I don't know.
I don't think it's better for Fafita, but it will be obviously better for
Tanner Boyd.
Tanner Boyd.
And yeah, it's worrying because David Fafita, obviously, with the way that he's been playing, he is a firm top 10 pick. Like, you're looking at him sort of pick 7, pick 8, around that sort of pick in the top 10, especially if you're not playing in a captain's league. Like, that's a sexy as fuck pick. Titans left edge was one of the most dominant left edges in the comp, more dominant than the South Sydney Rabbitohs, which is saying something. So, yeah, that's a big question mark. The other one I want to throw at you, which is there's a few whispers going around that AJ Brimson might be moved to the centres to accommodate
Jaden Campbell.
Yes, at fullback.
I mean, I've heard similar stories that Tanner Boyd gets fucked off and Brimson comes into the halves. I've heard like a whole bunch of different incarnations of it. I mean, it makes sense. But I mean, one of your best attacking weapons is AJ Brimson. Like,
it's almost like they're like, look, if we don't do something with Jaden now, he'll go to another team and we'll lose him. So we need to get him in this team somehow, just so that we can keep him. AJ Brimson, obviously, he's versatile as fuck. He can play anywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know how that affects his SuperCoach output. I'd rather him at fullback, obviously.
Jojo Fafita's your man out then, isn't he?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't, but definitely it's AJ Brimson's stocks take a hit, and obviously Jaden Campbell's stocks go through the roof. Jaden Campbell as a SuperCoach player in this Titans team is yum.
Like when he gets minutes, absolutely.
Yep.
When he's coming off the bench, I mean, he's an absolute AE risk. So yeah, it's there's a lot of things to see in these preseason games, and like Titans are one of the teams that I'm looking at very closely in the preseason.
Keep a fucking keen eye on them because there's a lot of movement here. Cards need to fall where they need to. The dust needs to settle. It's
even the front row forwards. Like, we don't know what the prop rotation is going to look like. We don't know whether it is going to be Mofo and Palacia starting. We don't know whether they're going to throw a curveball and put Liu in there. Like, there's a whole raft of things that could go.
Yeah. And the thing is, I really do love the Titans for SuperCoach players, especially in attack. Like, they've always been that team that, they're going to try and score more points. They're going to try and defend teams out of games. And that may change with Desi at the helm, but they've got a lot of powerhouses in this side, and you sort of want to have stocks in them somewhere. Brian Kelly, yum. AJ Brimson, yum. Like I said, Tanner Boyd's an interesting one late in drafts. David Fafita, obviously. Tino Fasua-Malawi, get him in.
Oh.
So, there's a few players here. Very interesting SuperCoach team. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, we've hit the nail on the head with the Firma one as well. Like, if Firma stays fit, 62 to 65 average.
Yep.
If he stays fit. And I don't know about you, but I'm not taking a risk.
Yeah, it is that ACL rule of thumb. Just don't touch him. Let him be somebody else's problem.
Someone else is going to either get the glory or they're going to feel the repercussions. So, yeah, I've already felt that.
All right, let's keep it rolling here. Sharks are next up for me. Not a lot doing for the ins and outs. They lose Connor Tracy. Wade Graham obviously retires, so not a lot there. So pretty much copy paste here for the Sharks coming into the 2024 season. You got Will Kennedy at the back, Katoa and Mulatalo on the wings, Jesse Ramey and Sifa Talakai in the centers, Tricky Trindle at 5'8", Nico Hines halfback.
Oh boy.
Tricky. And then you've got Toby Rudolph, Braden Hamlin-Ueli as the bookends there. Blake Brayley at 9, Teague Wilton, Britton Nakora in the edgeback row spots, and Dal Finucane at lock. Not a lot to say here about Nico Hines. He's 1-2. It all comes down to your preference. We've seen Nico Hines beat out Nathan Cleary as far as averages go for the last 2 years. I can't push back on you if you want to take Nico Hines number one. It does look at first glance like the Sharks have a better strength of schedule. We do know that they're flat track bullies. Exactly. In all final systems as well. But then again, we're talking about the Prince of Penrith, who is the best player in the game at the moment. So either one, I'm happy with both. It's pretty much whoever gets your dick hardest out of those two, jump on them. As for the rest of these guys, interested. Obviously, Britton Nakora had an fantastic season 2023. I think that continues. He had a 70 average. I think he could replicate that again. The
best line runner in the game.
The combination that him and Nico Hines have at the moment, that doesn't just disappear in one preseason. That's going to continue. Other than
horrible ceiling though. Horrible ceiling.
Yeah.
Just an FYI.
Yeah.
Did not score a single 100 last season.
No, but I mean, who in the edgeback row spot does have those 100+ games in him other than David Fifita?
Oh, even fucking Tino does.
Look, I've even seen.
I think Teague Wilton topped a ton once. I think
even Olakawatu struggles to get above 100 with his big try scoring games. So yeah, I like Nakora. Siana Katoa just fell off the side of a fucking cliff.
Oh, didn't he? What? Oh,
and that scares me. I don't want any part of that. Jesse Ramey has been slipping over the last 3 years. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan of Sifa Talakai. I think he continues to be that block play, suck in defenders, and the guys outside him are going to cop the benefits.
As an owner,
I bet. Yeah, just don't be an owner then. Ronaldo Mulatalo, he's the guy. He's going to be scoring the tries, I think. And Will Kennedy's very interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, Will Kennedy's a real tough read for mine. They do have a bit of, they do lose the utility option of Connor Tracy, but I know they make it back up with, who have they got? One sec, I've got this other sheet.
They got McInnes on the bench.
Yeah, you got McInnes on the bench. Like McInnes, he's going to be sharing time with Finucane, obviously. But they've got Cade Dykes, they got Kale Iro as young guns coming through. I mean, they're certainly going to be putting pressure on Will Kennedy at times. Will Kennedy is proven performer though, so he loves that right side sweep. I mean, they missed him when he was out last season. But yeah, I think with Connor Tracy going, I think as soon as Iro and Dykes get an opportunity, I think it's going to be real interesting to see what happens there. Because both those boys can play. Holy fuck.
Talking about shit ceilings, Will Kennedy, if he gets 4 tries, he's lucky to get 100. But
he's also a player that in the last couple of seasons, he's had a couple of absolute dog shit scores, wind down his average massive. But yeah, he's not. If you're in a captain's league, he's definitely not the guy for you. Yeah, he's another player that look doesn't get to the tippity top of the ceiling scores because all of those points go to Hines.
Yeah, 100%. Honestly, there's not a lot else to talk to in this team. The Mulatalo, Nico Hines, and Nicola for me, they're the big three.
Yeah.
But
Blake Bradley is like a meat and potatoes option. He's shown a bit more attacking flair, which is great. We always knew that he had that from his Resi's.
I really thought he'd go to the next level in 2023.
Yeah.
And I watched him very closely.
You showed glimpses of it, but yeah, he just hasn't come.
I think we've seen his peak, and it's that sort of high 50s.
Yeah.
And so what you saw last year, you're going to see more of it. You know, he might get a 57, 58 average maybe, but I don't think he's going to pip that 60.
Yeah, fair.
All right, bro. What do we got here? Last team. Save the best for last too, because this is a really interesting one, bro. Let's get into the Warriors.
This is one of the more exciting teams. So a lot of leagues will be looking at the Warriors in particular because of the round 27 bye. So it means that through the season you're only dealing with 2 byes. So for round 26 grand finals like us, that means a lot. So they don't have a bye until round 13, and the second bye is round 19. So obviously straddling those 2 big byes. Outside of that, you've got them all season. Most of the guys are Kiwis, so they won't play Origin. So tick, tick, tick. They've all got pretty decent strength of schedule. So tick, tick, tick. So they've had RTS come back. They've got CHT come back. They've just secured Kurt Capewell. And on the outer, they've got Josh Curran moving to the Dogs and Viliama Valea moving across to the Cows. I mean, it's a huge uptick for their attack and threat. Massive. And look, running through the 1 to 13, we've got CNK, so Chansik and Krokstad at the Ferrari. Marcelo Montoya and DWZ are your wingers. RTS, so Tuivasa-Sheck and Adam Pompey, we've got as your centre 3 quarters. Luke Metcalf, I've got as the 5'8". Could be CHT by the time we go to team list, but yeah, I really want to be seeing a couple of trials games just to see how they do line up. SJ we won't see in the preseason, but he might play the last game. But yeah, he had an amazing output of 2.6 try involvements per game, which is just like phenomenal. It's like Cody Walker levels. Aiden Fanua-Blake and Mitchie Barnett are the 2 bookends. And look, I think they are fantastic options, both of them. Both with the, obviously AFB with a bit more upside. Wade Egan is a guy that I'm looking at. He had his injury issues through the season, but at the hooker spot, which has been fairly difficult, I think he has potential to hit the 60 for sure. And then we've got Kirk Capewell and Nia Corey as the edge back rowers. Could be forward, don't know. But I do think that the experience of Nia Corey probably gets him the nod. And Capewell, he's just going to walk into the side.
Yep.
And then Tohu Harris as your lock. So it's
sexy team on paper, bro. Very sexy team.
They are one of the few teams, well, the only team in the top 4 that I think has a better squad than they did last season. So if there's any teams that can take that extra step further, it's definitely the Warriors for mine. You add on that round 27 bye, and if you're not playing a round 27 grand final, that is sexy as fuck.
Yeah, especially
really big.
They're not going to rest players because they know they're going to get a rest coming up. You know, the risk of some of these guys getting rested is null and void now because they know they got that bye coming up in round 27. But Matt, it's all about this right edge. I mean, it was scintillating in 2023 without RTS. So if you look at the top 20 stacks coming out of 2023, the Warriors made it in 3 slots. So you had the second best stack was CJ and CNK, and they were just amazing. They both scored 80 together 5 times. Then you had CNK and DWZ. They were the 15th best stack, and then SJ and DWZ were the 18th best stack. So that's unheard of, bro. That is unheard of. Add fucking RTS into this right edge, and we were talking about the Panthers right edge and how we want stocks in it. I want stocks in this right edge too. I want a stack. I want one stack.
Taking a leaf out of the Guru's book, that right edge could be anything.
Oh, it will be anything. It's going to be something. It's going to be everything. That's what it's going to be. Straight up, it is going to be very good. For
I know SJ is a bit long on the tooth, and it's another season older, but mate, RTS, DWZ, SJ, and ZNK, there are going to be some fucking tries to be had between those 4. Oh my god!
Get them in me.
Yeah.
Get them inside me. Seriously, I'll be looking.
I'd be
very
surprised.
hard on these guys.
Like thinking about it, I'd be surprised if Jackson Ford and Nia Crow don't like play half and half, because Jackson Ford runs some decent lines, and he's got some good attack in him. But I don't know. There's a lot to like about this team.
Mate, I've got
one of the teams that I've got a half job about.
I've got 2 words for whoever plays edge back row on the right: block play, because that's all they're gonna be. Run that straight line, bro, and that's all you're gonna do all fucking.
And I tell you what, Nia Corey does that quite well.
Yep,
so
that's his role, baby. That's his role. Talk to me. Where do we take RTS?
Look, RTS is a very interesting one, depending on where they put him for dual position. So whether they put him as CTW fullback or whether they go straight CTW, because he hasn't been mentioned really as a fullback option. If he is dual, he's got to be at the turn, I think, for round 3 to 4. So I've got him around pick 30 to 35 at the moment. Could easily go into the 20s. But yeah, if he ends up being just CTW, it probably pushes him to the back end around 4 for mine.
It really does sort of depend on how your second round goes. Like if you're the one that ends up picking up SJ sort of mid to late round 2, somewhere around there, that really does start dictating your picks, because you do want a CNK, an RTS, or a DWZ, and you're going to have to reach for them, because everyone else is going to be thinking, this cunt can't get a stack. They'll be reaching for those Warriors players to deny you the opportunity to have that stack. So you're going to have to reach for these players to get it, and I think you should.
Because at the same time, the guys with the Panthers right side are going for the stack. People with the Warriors right side are going for the stack. So you got to keep your eye out and just make sure that can't happen.
Yep.
In your drafts. So.
And in the same sense, like if you're the one that's after the stack, know in your head that cunts are going to try and fucking block you. So you might have to go 1 or 2 rounds earlier than you thought you were going to have to go to get that stack.
Be like water, baby. Be like water.
Keep your head on a swivel. Keep your head on a fucking swivel. But yeah, for me, it's all about this right edge. And yeah, it's a battle of the right edge, isn't it? With the Warriors, Panthers, the Sharks right edge is going to be nice. Broncos, yeah. So again, like, because I think it was season 22, it was all left edge. And then we saw last season, it was all right. And I think that will continue for 2024. The right edges they'll get the nod. They will definitely get the nod.
Yeah,
the Roosters, we talked about the Roosters right edge being really, really tasty. Yeah. I mean, there's not much else to talk about here with the Warriors. Just get one of those 4 players on your side. Or 2. Please get 2.
Get one of them.
Get 2. If you can get 2, get 2.
Oh, I mean, like you can add in AFB into that conversation as well. Like he is one of the very, very few upside.
I do see regression there,
front
though.
row forwards. I see regression, but he's one of the few upside front row forwards in the game.
Yep.
Can he maintain that ridiculous try scoring?
We can't.
output? I don't think
There's,
so.
there's. I mean, I love to be wrong, and I love him to come out in
But
2024 and score 6 tries.
Wade Egan loves to use him. So
Well, it wasn't
I don't know.
even all Wade Egan. It was more that Tohu Harris ball back inside when the gaps.
yeah.
But the thing is, what happens is teams are doing film on the Warriors, and they're going. They love this play. We need to muscle up in the middle. We need to take this out. We can't have a front row forward scoring against us. Do you know what I mean? So there'll be more defensive sort of plays to stop that sort of middle crash and bash over the line.
Oh, he might go for they might go for a fake crash play on the right side and then open up space at the back. Oh, there's a lot of options.
And again, we talk about the Chubb rubs, the guys that you love to watch play. Imagine having SJ and RTS as the stack in your side. I mean, clean up all three every week.
clean up on all me.
So good.
Yeah.
All right, bro. That's the teams. I think we did pretty well there under 2 hours, rifling through them. Before we wrap this up, do you want to get the Patreon questions up and we'll start getting through them?
Yeah, mate. Just give me a sec. I just got to get them out in front of me.
Too easy, guys. So I'll just dribble on here while Walker gets that up. But we will be kicking it off the weekly rubdown January 5th at this point. So first week of January, we will start kicking this bad boy in the ribs and getting it going. As always, there'll be a season opener. Then we'll start rubbing out position by position, starting with hooker and Walker, working our way all the way down through to fullback. We'll have a podcast with Brian, the NRL physio. We will have a strength of schedule podcast this year. We will just be focusing on the finals. So the 3 final systems will just be focusing on the finals because it is a lot for us to go through, talking about all of the strength of schedules. You guys know that it's all available on our Patreon, so you can go on there, you can see it in black and white, you can do your own study, but we will be focusing on the finals, and that'll tie in nicely to how we are approaching our top 30 picks, so the first 3 rounds of our drafts, because as we keep saying, big dig plays, your first 3 picks need to be heavily weighted in terms of strength of schedule in your finals. So we'll be covering that. We'll also have a couple of podcasts with the guru himself, and we'll be trying to cram all this in before Walker becomes a dad, because Mrs. Walker is due sometime mid-February. So
Valentine's Day, mate.
Valentine's baby. So we will be Bruce Lee. We'll be like water. We'll be flowing. We'll be keeping our head on a swivel, just watching. If Walker has to,
the rob never stops, mate. The rob
that's
never
it. If
stops.
Walker has to go be a dad, I'll carry it. I'll be here on my Pat Malone. I'll try and get Guru on. I'll try and get guests on. If I can't do that, I'll just get the content out. And of course, the Patreon will keep chugging along as always.
Won't skip a beat.
Will not skip a fucking beat.
We'll already have done the study by then. We'll already have all the sheets ready, so it's all good. So got the questions up. So
go.
Jake Wright has asked us, if you guys were pick 7, who's the guy you're looking at to pick? So
Dylan Brown.
Dylan Brown.
Yeah.
I
could even go pick 6.
I've said the troll because I don't think Dylan Brown will be on the board.
Yep.
Another guy to consider going early on might be either Fafita or Tommy Turbo. Those are the only guys that I would be thinking about in this vein. So
I do like that Latrell or Dylan Brown. Like it. Take Dylan Brown. If he's not there, take Latrell.
Yeah.
And if he's not there, take
that
Turbo.
Position scarcity for 5'8" is ridiculous. So.
Yeah.
Matty Wills has asked us, can't wait to see those rough melons.
We're here, baby.
Has been a long preseason. So here we go. So number 3 pick overall, obviously expecting Cleary and Hines to be gone, but is Ponga the best of the rest? Now, after going through each of the team reviews, I think our consensus, both of us, is Ponga for sure, is number 3. Clear as day. And I would even say that Drinky pips ahead of Walshy just because of that strength of schedule and It's a real tough one because you're talking about a guy who has a bye in your prelim finals, and then a guy who has the bye in the finals, like your semi-finals. So
I know it's almost like
it's a fucking tough one. It's a flip of a coin.
If you're in a league where you end up having to pick where you want to draft, don't pick 4 or 5. Let someone else make that decision.
Well, I mean, if you're going to pick, don't pick 4, pick 5.
Yeah,
because at least then you don't need to stretch for the option, and when you snake back around, you got a quicker pick. All right, so Hudzo has asked us a few questions, so here we go. So he was a leader of the Walshy into the top 4 pick squadron, and Natty was close behind him. But with the finals bye, he's got him projected as his 11th pick. Wow, that's wild. So anywhere after 6 to 7 is fine with him, with a goal to let him go off the hot start and then try to shift him on. Fullback is not as scarce these days either, with a lot of high scoring players in the fullback spot. Where do you lads rank him right now, and what of Drinky by the same token? So I think we kind of just covered that a little bit. He's got him projected at 8th spot. We've got him about, I'd say 5, pick 5.
Yep.
Just because of that real high ceiling potential. Wouldn't really push back on Dillbags going even a bit higher. But I mean, if he can develop that, if he can develop that combo with Sean Lane, I mean, the sky's the limit with Dillbags. What do you reckon, man?
Yeah, no, I'm all over Reece Walsh. One, I love to watch him play. I want him in my SuperCoach side. I think he's going to make my season more enjoyable if I have him in my side, if I draft him. And that's what it's about. That's what we're here. We're here to enjoy ourselves. We're here to have a good laugh. And in our league, we do a lot of bets, and I can see Reece Walsh winning me a lot of bets throughout the season. So I do like him. He's pretty much a solid pick 5 for me. And the reason I know that he's got that buy in round 24, but that doesn't land on a grand final. So it's really only most important for guys that have a grand final in round 25. Obviously, that's going to be a major semi to come in the grand final. That's a little bit of a kick in the dick. But if you've got a grand final in round 26 or 27, I think you can cover that. And I think the price that you'll pay of not having him in round 24 is worth it to have him for the entire season. And just, I will say, if you do draft Walshy high, in the back of your mind, just say you're around 26 grand final, you're not going to have him there for round 24, get a contingency plan in place during your draft.
Yeah. Have a solid bench option so you can either cycle them in just as an AE, or just a workaround. So have a couple of dual players or something like that. Hutto's also said that he'd take Munster before both Drinky and Walsh. So I don't agree.
Get
with
out
that
of your
because
fucking spaceship, Hudso. Jesus.
All right. So Hutto's asked another one. Would you guys consider getting some patrons on the show occasionally? Even a Patreon episode on here, on the Patreon, and there for some junk time in the lead up to the season. Love to hear people's stories of how they won or what they learned from last season. I'd also put my hand up.
I knew it was coming. I knew there was an angle here. I knew there was an angle
to tell his story and talk through some of the analysis he's been able to look at, and he has actually dropped something on the Patreon Discord, and it's actually pretty interesting. So I'll share it across with you, Natty, just in case you haven't seen it. But mate, he goes into some detail. So he's done a lot of the heavy lifting like we do. So very, very interesting gear. And if you're a member of the Patreon, dip in, have a look at the Discord. The link's in there to Hudzo's site to just have a look. And yeah, it's some pretty good gear.
Nice. And that actually got the cogs turning for me, because I am a segment slut and I love to introduce as many segments as possible. Yeah, well, that's true. So that sort of, got the cogs turning, as in the back end of the season when things start to sort of thin out, like content thins out. There's not as many people alive in leagues. We've already done all the heavy lifting. It's just getting on here and having a chat. I think it's a really good idea to have, a Patreon episode. We could have categories. We could have, your best comeback story of the year. You could have your best fuck up of the year. You could have your best waiver wire pickup. We could have a list of categories and just have a competition for Patreons that win those categories and have them on the show and have a chat and have a laugh, have a drink, and talk about how we went in SuperCoach. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah. All right. So that'll get legs for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Next one from Hudzo is, I think you guys should include an auction draft strategy episode in the lead up to the season 2. He plays a competitive auction league and he's built a lot of his draft analysis out of our data and some of his own tools, like the stuff I was talking about before, to inform his auction plan. There's a lot of strategy involved, and look, I've looked into it a little bit, and it isn't something that we've had a lot of exposure to, and especially in Australia, it's always offline because there's not many things to do. But yeah, he's offered to flick it on to us and some of his analysis. So yeah, I'll be diving into that, having a bit of a chat too with
Don't hurt yourself, bro.
I think no. I think Brian was either in an auction league or it was a full dynasty league. We'll have to touch base with him on that. But if I'm honest, there hasn't been too many auction leagues in SuperCoach that we've been exposed to. So more than happy to learn.
Who's this? Is this is this Hudso?
This is Hudso, yeah.
This is how we're gonna run this. Become a Patreon, get in the Discord. Hudso can be our auction draft specialist. Go and talk to him in the Discord. I'm sure Hudso will be up for it and he'll give you all the tools you need to get amongst it. How's that sound?
Yeah.
Delegate. That's what a good leader does, mate. Delegates. Auction draft.
So far as
Hudso go.
So far as keeper leagues and dynasty leagues, like we've got a little bit more exposure onto that, and we do understand how those work and can give advice. But I mean, auction leagues is a whole other kettle of fish, and it is very much tied to your draft strategy, and it is the most important. Like, yes, it's important for other draft types, but I mean, shooting your load too early in your auction draft can be massive.
Yep.
I do remember there being an awesome episode of The League where they did an auction draft, which was amazing. But yeah,
if it grows in popularity and we get more and more questions about auction draft, it might be a good chance to get Hudso on the podcast and he can sort of
in our 7 odd years that we've been doing this is the first question about auction draft.
Yep.
So yeah, it's not something that we've had too much to do with.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Willsy, Matty Wills has asked us, whereabouts are you taking RTS? So I'm of the opinion about the turn on round 3 and 4. What about you, Natty?
Yeah, definitely. That's sort of where I have him touted at the moment. But if I get SJ, then that probably changes my tact.
You bring him forward for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, it's hard because center's such a kind of a position for SuperCoach, and him coming in, he is older. Yeah. And the thing is, I'm worried about him getting overdrafted because he is Roger Tuivasa-Sheck.
He's 100% he'll be one of the most overdrafted players for sure.
Yep. And to be honest, if I wanted a stack, I would still go SJ, C, and K. If I had to pick any of the stacks there, the Warriors right edge, I would still go SJ.
Not an SJ and DWZ?
No, well, the stats say that SJ and C&K scored more points together at the same time than SJ and DWZ.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. David has asked us early thoughts on where Walsh should go. So kind of touched on that before. We're still a bit on the fence about how much that buy is going to impact. But yeah, he's gone through and he said, he knows that he's got the finals buy, but under most final structures, 23 to 26 or 24 to 26, there's a potential for the week off during the Brisbane buy. So would you consider just loading up on him early and backing yourself to earn that 20 round 24 week off?
Yeah, we sort of covered it.
Value at round 5 or 6.
We sort of covered it.
I tend to agree.
He has the pedigree to just pick him up where you need to pick him up, and don't worry too much about it.
Yeah.
It'd be a different story if his buy was in round 26 or round 27, and that was your grand final. That's when you really have to think about it because that's when you need him the most. But I think the points that he's going to put up for you during the season is worth it. To like this bloke said, you might even have the week off if you're good enough, and it doesn't matter then.
Yeah, it's 100% true. Dave has asked a follow-up question, and this is one that's right early, Natty. How do I get into the listener league? He joined the Patreon mid last year, and he heard something about leaving a review. If so, what do we do, when, and how?
You're halfway there, brother. You're a Patreon subscriber, so you're in with it. You have to be a subscriber. You have to be a tier 2 subscriber. Then you go over to Apple iTunes, and then you find the weekly rubdown, go to reviews, click the 5 stars, and then leave a review, but it's actually a sledge. So, and you'll know what I'm fucking talking about when you go in there and you read the 100-odd sledges that are on there. Some of them are absolute
I don't think we've got a single positive one on there. They're all absolute tearing shreds off us, which is awesome.
I think our wives have got a couple on there in the early days. No, nothing about it. They're like, oh, go. Yeah. Anyway, but get on there, read the sledges that are on there. That's the kind of vibe that we want. And we pick our favorite 8. So we have a 10-man league. Yep. We have us, obviously, the Rub, and we have Rico, who puts up the beer for the competition. So there's 2 spots taken up. We pick our 8 best sledges, and every rub down that we do throughout the preseason, I bring up a couple. We read them live. You get a live reaction from them. It's one of my favorite parts of the whole preseason is the sledges that come through. They really, and the guys that have been with us a long time and listened to us since the beginning really know how to cut us deep. And those are the ones I really love.
And they're the head scratcher ones too. So I do like that. And look, we came to play last season. So we came over with a wet sail. We almost took it all the way.
Yep. And we're not here to fuck spiders. I'll tell you that much. We'll be going again.
Exactly. Or fornicate with the arachnids. All right. Callum has asked us, what number pick would you be wanting to aim for or above in a 10-man snake draft? Seems to be a lot of elite guns falling down until even the 8th pick or so.
Depends. Did he say if he's captain or non-captain?
I didn't say. I would assume captain's league.
That makes a huge difference. Like if you're a captain's league, I want 1 or 2.
It's got to be one or two.
Yeah.
I would personally be taking pick 2 because I don't want to have to make the decision, and I want to have a pick earlier for the return pick.
Whereas if you're non-captains, there is a lot of merit picking at 9 or 10.
Huge, because you get that turn pick. It's
and there is really, a stockpile of talent there, SuperCoach wise, that you could capitalize on. So that's how captains 1 or 2.
And if you're a non-captain's league, you could go something like a Fafita into if Turbo falls that far.
Bro, Turbo's going to be there.
Into Turbo.
Harry Grant's going to be around there. Toto's going to be there. Mazu's going to be there. Manu's going to be there. Munster's going to be there. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of talent sitting there at that turn that you can get into. But it's easy. Captains, you want Cleary or Nico Hines. Because it's almost, you're the one to beat. Straight off the bat.
Yeah. Well, even to a degree in a non-captain's league. It's just that it sets you so far back for your second pick that I don't know. Is that 5 to 10 point bump in average worth it? I don't know. Because you're waiting another 7 or 8 picks to your next pick, extra than the next person. So that's it. That's all, mate.
That's all the questions.
That's all from the patron. Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for getting involved. Some really good questions. That last one was, that was good. Get the juices flowing. Doesn't matter for us because we just have an absolute ripper of a day on the piss doing challenges. So wherever you come is where you come.
Strategy goes out the window last stage.
And that's where you pick. I'm usually really hungover, so I don't even care. But good times. Really good times. I can't wait. I'm starting to really get.
I have a feeling I'll be picking from pick 12.
Yes, you very well may be. But that's all right.
Yeah.
That's all right. You actually have a decent excuse, so we can't be angry at you.
Unlike everyone else. Yeah.
I know. All right, guys, that's it for the year 2023 in the books. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Thanks for jumping on so early as well. A couple of big rub downs to get the juices flowing. Like we keep saying, there's so much available on the Patreon at the moment. So if you want to get on there, you want to get a jump on your competition. And that's really what the Weekly Rub Down Patreon is we're giving you a leg up on your competition. And I know a lot of guys like to keep it a secret. They like to, it's like a weaponized thing they've got in their lead. Like, yeah, I listen to the Weekly Rub Down. I've got the Patreon, but yeah, we get it. We love it. Get amongst it. Plenty on there. Get involved. And also, if you want to support what we do, and so we can actually tell our wives that, you know, it's worthwhile us spending all this time on this podcast. But this is what we say. We got a Patreon. People are on there. They're supporting us, and it keeps them off our backs. So if you want to help us out in that department, that's the best way to do it. Get in the Patreon, and like I said, there's a lot on there. It's really, really good gear. We're really proud of it. But
yeah,
that's it, bro. That's it for tonight.
It's exciting times.
We'll see you all in 2024. Let's get out of here, bro.
Peace, guys.
There are many things a man can do with his time.
This is better than those things.
You're damn right, Wooker. Merry Christmas, everybody. Love yous all.
Oh.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, buddy. Oh.
Why didn't that work? Sweet. All right. Well, we don't have to do anything, do we?
Nah, I don't think so, man.
All right.
I think we're all sorted now.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
I'm gonna try to pump through all my positions over the Chrissy break.
Yes.
So I should have everything sorted by before New Year's anyway.
Yeah. Cool. Just ending this.
Oh, mate, I am sweaty as fuck.